Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. This week, we recap the first race of the Round of 8 in Las Vegas and look forward to Homestead, Miami, and the second race of the Round of 8. And we have an interesting points battle. And, you got three guys separated within a couple points. So I think that this will be very interesting. And, these playoffs continue to deliver, in my opinion. I'm just going to say it straight up. Like, I know there's a very large debate online. Should NASCAR go back to the old style chase, or should they go back to the Winston Cup points? I don't think NASCAR's going to do that. I think they stick with these playoffs. I really enjoy them, to be honest. It's compelling down to the very last lap of the very last race. And I think that's how it should be. With the old point system and stuff like that, you had people having the championship won with 5 races left or 10 races left in the regular season, and that was just not very entertaining in my opinion. But I like the playoffs. I think, sometimes they can be a bit misleading, as in sometimes the most deserving driver doesn't win these playoffs. But for the most part, I think that they do. So we'll get right into the Las Vegas recap. I mean, it wasn't as good of a race as I thought it was going to be honest. Last week, if you listened, I expected a really, really good race. This one was about, I would say, better than worse, but it was probably middle of the tier race. The ending was exciting, but during the race there wasn't as much happening as I assumed would. Wasn't as many crazy passes that I would think there would be, but I mean it was still decent. To start off with, Ross Chastain gets a penalty on pit road during green flag stops. With Ross being eliminated last round, they're not really racing for much, but that one car had speed. I think he was back into the top 5 before the end of the day, but when you start off the day with a pit road penalty, that kind of just puts you behind the 8 ball, and they weren't really, after that, they really weren't in contention for the win. So that kind of put them behind. Eric Jones, once again, man, it seems like we've talked a lot about him lately in a negative way, such as in wrecks or loose wheels. This time looked like a flat tire. He spins out, and I think the Legacy MC team, they're ready for 2024. Jones has ran better the last couple weeks. He ran really well at Texas, even led for a little bit, but ended up wrecking in that race. And I'm sure they're ready to reset. John Hunter Nemechek, now that we're talking about Legacy MC, will actually be in the 42 this week at Homestead. I guess getting some seat time since he fills in for that ride full-time next year in the 42 car. So we'll see how John Hunter does this weekend. I expect good things from him, just like Carson Hocevar has done. And Kyle Larson wins the first stage. And this was just a preview of domination of the whole day from Larson, to be honest with you. From the get-go, it looked like it was Larson's race to lose. And he did the job that needed to be done, so good for him and that team. Speaking of Carson Hocevar, back-to-back Legacy MC cars with flat tires. You got to wonder if that's a team setup issue or what that was, but ended his days. He slammed into the fence and wasn't very competitive after that. He might have even been out of the race, to be honest with you. So the flat tires for Legacy MC was not ideal at all. And then Kyle Larson's save. I think this was a really good save. The wall also helped him. But Larson went from, being dominant to, oh crap, like we could lose this race now after that spin, as he lost several spots. And as you all know, if you all watch the race, he ends up coming back. But a great save from Larson, and definitely one that could potentially win him a championship. So we'll see. But if he spins that car out and hits the inside wall, he's probably done for the day. And it was a great job, and with a little help from the wall for him to save that car. And so good for Larson, good for that 5 team. Something not good for Hendrick. Alex Bowman blows his tire from 10th. And Bowman is normally really good at Las Vegas. Didn't have the speed that I expected him to have this weekend, but was still in the top 10 when his tire blew. Just hate it for Bowman, as he's just wanting to, get some solid runs and forget this season, I have a feeling. So, I was high on Bowman at the beginning of the year. I expected at least 2 wins from that team, and they just haven't delivered, which is very shocking to me, to be honest. With Blake Harris as the crew chief, I really thought those 48 guys would get to victory lane, and just hasn't happened. So, Bowman looking to reset to 2024 as well, I'm sure. And we'll see how they do next year. Kyle Larson was the second stage as well. And no shock here, even after his spin. I really thought that when he spun, he would have damage on the back end of his car, but didn't seem to. Didn't seem to have any damage, hardly at all. And comes back and wins the second stage after losing several positions from that spin. So that just shows you how good that he was on Sunday. And that team brought a rocket ship to the racetrack, and Kyle did a great job driving it, so props to them. A little Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse contact. There was good, solid racing between them, and had some contact I've got on here. Ty Gibbs, loose wheel. Hated to see this. He was running solid. Ty's really struggled on the 1.5 miles this year for some reason. I can't really figure that out, as Toyota has been really, really solid. But Ty Gibbs, man, I don't think he has a top 10 this season on a 1.5 miles. And, I hate to see that for Ty. I think he definitely wins a race next year. I had him predicted in the playoffs this year, actually. I thought he would get a win, but has not happened yet. But look for next year, that 54 team to be a very, very big factor into things. And I hated to see the loose wheel. He was running solid. And just, of course, there'll be penalties for the tire changer. And that just is a bad blow for the last couple of weeks for the 54 team. So hated to see that for Ty. And then one of the more controversial things, as it involves the NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott gets called for a restart violation on one of the final restarts. And NASCAR's really cracking down on this stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, drivers have been laying back on restarts to get a better run through after the start-finish line, and Chase laid back and took it 3 wide right after the start-finish. And NASCAR called him, made him do a pass-through penalty, and really took him out of contention. So I think they called A.J. Allmendinger at the beginning for one as well. I didn't have that in my notes, but I did see that. So 2 restart violations called in this race. So very wild. I hated to see that for AJ as well, as coming off that win at the Roval last week. Kind of put him behind the 8 ball there for the 16 car. But Kyle Larson wins his way into the championship 4 after a pretty dominant performance, to be honest with you. Won both stages. Had that little hiccup there with the spin and save. But, the guy gets it done. And he did it again. And, he's liable to go and win 2 races in a row. He's liable to go win at Homestead. He dominated this race last year, and it would not surprise me if he does it again. I'm not going to pick him just because I've got someone who I think is going to win. But I think the obvious favorite is Kyle Larson. If you all have listened to my predictions, I don't go out and pick the favorite every single week. So I think Larson will be such a heavy favorite that I'm going to go with someone else. So I think Seabell, if he had one or two more laps, probably could have made it really interesting. He had a huge run coming off of 3 and 4. And you could see within the last 20 laps or so, Seabell getting closer and closer to Larson. And on the last turn, he finally got to his back bumper but couldn't do much with the run. Said that he didn't want to wreck him for the win. Didn't even think he really could wreck him if he even wanted to, coming to the line there at the checkered. So respectful racing between two guys that are really good at what they do. And Seabell was really disappointed. I think he still is. He thought that, that was his one chance to make the championship 4. But as I'm about to break down the points bubble, he's only 2 points out. So he can go run well at Homestead and Martinsville and end up getting in. But the points battle is getting crazy, as we've got William Byron, Martin Truex, and Denny Hamlin as the other 3 into the championship 4 right now, but that could change very, very easily, as William Byron is only +9 to the cut line. Martin Truex is +2, and Denny Hamlin is +2. So, crazy close, as, Martin Truex ended up coming back to finish 10th, but a strange pit call by the 19 team to leave him out on old tires really cost him some valuable track position. Looked like he had a top 3, top 5 car at the beginning of the race and then kind of just disappeared after that. So, if you're Martin Truex, I guess you're thankful that you're still in, but you've got to wonder, when are we going to put all this together and run well? Could that be this week at Homestead? I think it could be for them. I think they'll run good here. But right now, the 20 looks faster than the 19, to be honest with you. And with him only being 2 points out, I think that's something that I would worry about if I was the 19 team. But I guess we'll see how this all plays out. I think Seabell can go out and do really good at Homestead this week. And, of course, he won Martinsville last year. So I definitely don't think that 20 car is out of it. Now, as for the 11, as you all know, I'm a huge Denny Hamlin fan. That's my main driver. With him only being +2 to the good, I'm a little worried, to be honest with you. Now, could Denny go out and win both of these next 2 races? Heck yeah, he could. He's that good. The car's that good. The team's that good. That could happen. But when you come into this round, it looked like he had a pretty all right. I think he was +11 coming into this race. And you're thinking, well, if he runs top 5, top 3, he's going to be sitting good. Well, looked like he had the car to beat at one point in the race. Stayed out on, he got 2 tires and stayed out and led 32 laps, I think. But just not the finish that 11 team wanted, as he ends up coming home in the top 10, but not where they wanted to. So +2 going into Homestead, and we'll see what happens. I think, as I touched a little bit at the beginning of this episode, I think there's going to be chaos ensue. It might not be until Martinsville, but there's always chaos. And, can someone from the bottom win that was currently out? I think that's a possibility, definitely. And that would shake things up even more. And I look forward to this Homestead race. Last year, to be honest with you, it was kind of a snooze fest just because Kyle Larson absolutely dominated the whole race. He wasn't a playoff guy last year. Got eliminated in the round of 12, but absolutely just took it to everybody. And, I think that I really love Homestead. I'm going to talk about it for a second. I think it should be the championship race, as it was before they moved to Phoenix. But, at the same time, that's known for cars getting spread out and one car or two cars dominating the race. So we'll see what happens. I think that this is going to be playoff-centric race, to be honest with you. I think that the playoff guys are going to be up front. I think that any of them are capable of winning this race, to be honest with you. But I look at a guy who, and this would definitely shake things up. I'm going to go ahead and predict. Team to beat, I'll go Hendrick just because of Larson and Byron. I think Byron could definitely win this race, and it would not shock me. He's won at Homestead before, and I think that could definitely happen. So Byron and Larson, I think, will definitely be strong, but I'm not picking either one of those guys to win. I'm looking at a guy that would definitely shake up the playoffs. As a Denny Hamlin fan, I don't really know how to feel about this because you don't want to be out of the playoffs. But, hey, if your driver wins and knocks you out, how do you feel? And I think Denny would still be upset. But I'm taking Tyler Reddick to win here at Homestead this week. And I think, when you talk about guys that can ride the wall, you obviously put Larson up there. I would put Bell up there too. But you look at Tyler Reddick, and I think that he won on a road course this year. It's where he's won at most of the time. Last year he won at Texas with RCR, so he has won on a mile and a half. He's won 2 Xfinity titles here at Homestead. I think he gets it done. I think he shakes up the playoff bubble. And, that definitely would, as he's in the bottom. I think he's like 18 points out or something. I think that Tyler Reddick gets it done. And then you're looking at a battle of the last spot being between Denny and Truex and Bell. And that could get very wild very quickly. So I think Denny will be strong as well. I picked him to win last week, so I'm not going to repeat myself. And, I think he could be a very strong pick as well. He's won at Homestead before. And, I just think as much as I love doing predictions and predicting winners, it would not surprise me if any of these 8 playoff guys won. To be honest with you, I think all of them are going to be very, very strong. So that's my prediction. You all let me know what you think. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for not picking Larson this week because he's obviously such a huge favorite. But there would be nothing less shocking than Larson going out leading almost every lap of this race and winning. I just, with already having a win, I don't know if they'll be, as focused on Homestead as normal. They might have already moved on to Phoenix. I think that's one of the advantages of winning that first race of the round of 8 is you got 2 weeks to prepare. And when you give that 5 team of Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson and those guys 2 weeks to prepare, that's definitely a dangerous recipe for trying to beat the guy. So we'll see. But, when Kyle Larson's good, just as regular preparation goes, but when you got 2 extra weeks to prepare and focus on nothing but the championship race, I think those guys are going to be scary in Phoenix. So we'll see who joins them, though. We will see who joins him, and these playoffs are going to be great. They have been as of right now, so I expect nothing less. I think Homestead will be a solid race, and then next week we go to the chaotic Martinsville, and that will be definitely something to watch. So I'm excited for the last 3 weeks of this season, starting this podcast and getting to interact with everybody and just talking with you all about something I love is awesome, and I want to thank you all for that. Thank you all for listening. Continue to listen, like, share, review, and rate. And I always tell you all thank you, but I really mean it. And these last 3 weeks, let's end it with a bang. Let's go out and hope you all are still enjoying this podcast. And now we will go on to our question of the week. This week's question of the week is another solid question. I appreciate you all sending these in. And this one It says, what is your favorite part about doing this podcast? And this one isn't actually NASCAR related, which I'm cool with that. If y'all just want to send me regular questions too, I'll answer them. Any debates you have in your life, I'll give my opinion. But this is another good question. And, my favorite part so far has been just watching it grow from absolutely nothing to getting consistent listenership. I'm doing this completely on my own, putting it all together, recording it. And as you know, I had Robbie on as a guest. But, as far as editing and recording this and putting it all together, it's totally me. So I guess seeing that people are enjoying it enough to continue to listen to it, that's been my number one priority, and that's my number one goal when I make these podcast episodes, is to make it enjoyable for people. And I hope I'm doing a good job in that. And that's the number one thing. And then meeting people that listen and then talking about it, such as, I've met several fans at races, and trying to talking to them about the podcast and showing it to them, and they really have loved it after me showing it to them. And my goal is eventually to not even have to do that people just know who I am and what I do in the podcast. And I think that's a goal that is slowly happening. I think that the listenership has definitely been better than I could ever have thought, and I just want to thank you all, to every single one of you that listens every week, and the new fans that that I've met this year at the racetrack that listen every week. Thank you all. Most of you all are Denny Hamlin fans, because those are the people that I really conversate with at the races. But and if that's the case, you all know that we got a strong reputation. Most people don't like us, but I appreciate you all listening, and I think that what Denny's doing is good for NASCAR as well. I think he's showing that he is who he is, and I commented on that Gordon thing last week as Jeff Gordon made those comments. But I think that I just thank you all. So that was a good question. That was a little sentimental and heartfelt, but that's usually not what those questions are. It's usually NASCAR related, but thank you for sending those in. And if you all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot me a message, whatever, and I'll do my best to answer it. So once again, thank you all for listening. This has been another episode of JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. I look forward to next week, where we break down Homestead, Miami, and look forward to Martinsville, which always produces crazy storylines. And I think that this year will be no different. Real quick, wanted to give a shout out to Daniel Dye. Ran solid in the Xfinity race again last week. Made a heck of a save while there were cars wrecking in front of him all over, and did another great job. And the trucks are back at Homestead, Miami this weekend, and I'll be supporting the number 43 truck. He's got a sweet new ride this week, new sponsor, and I hope you all will check that out. Root on the 43. I'm sure he'll do great at Homestead, and the truck playoffs are heating up as well. So it'll be interesting to see who makes the championship 4, and you all have fun watching that. I think it'll be a good, solid race. Homestead is just a great track for all 3 series, in my opinion, and I think this week will be no different. So shout out to Daniel, shout out to the 43 team, shout out to everyone listening, and you all have a great week and have fun watching this Homestead race. I think we're in for a good one. So until next week, this has been JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. Thank you all.